Hine ma tov u'manaim, how good it is for us to all be together on this day. All of us here together. We haven't had an ensemble like this, and I think 20 months or so. So much so that our sound system doesn't know how to tolerate all these people in the room. How good it is for us to be together like this. No, I wonder if it's my mic. So, we are here today to celebrate and to sing a new song unto God, a new passage, a new moment in our congregation's life. How many moments like this we have had over the last 2 years that we haven't been able to celebrate together. And yet today, we're all together, whether in the sanctuary or watching from all over the world, streaming it out. How good it is for us to be together, and how we come together to sing a new song of complete joy. So let's take a moment now before our service begins to reflect on the week that has been, to let it go, and so that we can find the joy that Shabbat entails for us to have, so we can finally install our new cantor after 18 months.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Ina Horn, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to Anshe Emeth Memorial Temple. It's wonderful to be here together tonight to celebrate this momentous time for our community as we officially welcome Cantor Mark Standen. This coming week, we will be celebrating Thanksgiving, a time to appreciate our blessings. Thanksgiving is when we can take that minute, look around us, and take inventory of how lucky we are, what we can be thankful for, and express gratitude for the people in our lives. Now it is my pleasure to call on Cantor Michael Mandel and David Steinhorn to light the Shabbat candles and lead us in the blessings that may be found on pages 2 and 3 of your prayer book. Shabbat Shalom.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of the Shabbat.
We continue with Lecha Dodi on pages 20 and 21.
Yara la la la, Pene Shabbat, Elech Adoni likrat nala, tenei Shabbat nekayla. Lech Adoni likrat nala, tenei Shabbat nekayla.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We continue on page 26 with Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach yirutei ve'avlich malchutei. B'chayei kol u'b'yomechon u'b'chayei kol beit Yisrael. Yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudisha brihu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushechata v'nechemata da'amirat ve'alma v'imru. Amen.
We rise in either body or spirit for the Baruch Hu on page 28.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bevaro ma'ariv arvim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, uvitbuna mishane itim, machalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmeroteim barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, Uma'avir yom umevi laila, uma'avdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid imloch alenu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
Israel, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם בלילה, נגע יומם בלילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Yai da 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 da, ya da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. We continue on page 36. Please join in. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours.
Let Let Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim Sohek Noflim Berofeh Koholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishem Le'afar Michamo Chachal Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Mimit Umekayem Umatzmiach Yeshua ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל
We continue our own private Amidah with the words on the page or the words on our own hearts through page 63, and when you're ready, you may be seated.
עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום.
When we started searching for our new cantor, which now feels like 20 years ago, when we were getting to know Cantor Stanton, I had a list of references to call. And the first one on that list was Rabbi Peter Grumbacher. And he, when talking about Mark, said, he's a nice guy. He's a kind guy. He's a sweet guy. Kids love him. Adults love him. And he also can sing really well, too. Something along those lines. And when we first got to know Mark, well, we all just fell in love with him right there at the first time we met him, and then at the audition, and at lunch, and at dinner, and whatnot. Fast forward now several months into a pandemic. I asked Cantor Stanton, so who do you want to have install you? And without skipping a beat, Peter Grumbacher. And I called up Peter to ask him and talk to him about doing the installation. And the first thing he said was, so did I lie about any of the things I said? The answer was emphatic no. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, Peter, and I'm so glad your wife Susie could join us tonight. We've had a couple of times to chat since Mark has entered this congregation's life, and I'm so pleased you could join us here tonight from Wilmington, Delaware. And now I believe you started off there as the assistant rabbi and director of the religious school, right? And then after a few years became senior rabbi. Bennett, does that sound familiar to you? What's that? 17 years. It is a pleasure to welcome you to our congregation tonight, and Bavakasha.
I need the Torah for reference. No, not for reference. I need it for height. The lectern is too low. But, excuse me.
Might need to move this a little higher, too.
I want to thank Rabbi Baisley for inviting me to be here with you tonight. I want to say hello, Mazel Tov, to the president of the congregation, and even more so to the past president of the congregation. I told him the most wonderful word is past, right? And it's so good to see my friend Bennett Miller here. I've taught him everything he knew. He was ordained a couple of years after me. Like, what, 2, right? 2, yeah. So, so I'm much wiser than he is. And I'm skipping him. And I want to tell you, Rabbi Lotenberg, right? Almost Rabbi Lotenberg. You got something good going here. I want you to know that. And Cantor Ott, and you board people, hello there, hi. And the choir is really, really good. I have to ask you something, do you really need him? And the accompanist and the drum, just really wonderful. And I'd like to thank all of you from Wilmington, Delaware, who are here tonight to be with us. I'd like to thank all of those who are virtually with us from Wilmington. And to my former cantor, who was there before Mark, Cantor Michael Mandel and David Steinhorn, Refuah Shalema, Michael. Your parents? Are you still at Shalom? See, there's a connection here too, because their rabbi was my associate for 6 years. It's a very close, Jewish community. And Amir and Rob Silver, who are here, and over there we have Susie, my wife, and next to Susie is my accountant, Barbara Schoenberg. Oh, it gets better. And next to Barbara is her son Josh, who is our funeral director. And next to Josh is Gina. Mazel tov on your new job. And thank you to all of you who have filled the sanctuary. I am so glad that this occasion is with us tonight, because for a year and a half, I've been waiting downstairs in some dank basement. You might not know, and I shouldn't be revealing this, but I will, that virtually every Shabbat evening I join your live stream service, after Central Synagogue, of course, but I do so to hear your cantor and your rabbi as well. And that's no big revelation, but as your service progresses, and this is true, I text my friend a running commentary. While at times I text that one of the clergy's talit has to be straightened out, I usually comment on his singing. And there's never, ever been a time when his voice didn't move me via live stream or in person, as was the case with every member of our Wilmington congregation. We were convinced that Mark's prayers always went directly to the boss. And as I said in my letter of recommendation, quoting myself from the praises I bestowed upon him when we feted him at his 15th anniversary with us, there are cantors who have the voice of Delaware and the ego of Alaska. And then there's Mark, who has the ego of Delaware and the voice of Alaska. And when Susie and I showed up at services right after my retirement 12 years ago, people would ask, "Don't you want a break? Didn't you have enough?" In addition to responding that I might be a retired rabbi, but I'm not a retired Jew, I always answered very seriously, "I come for the oneg." But Susie always answered, "So we can hear Mark sing." After I wrote this entire address, there was something that kept bothering me, something I felt was missing. And after a few days, I had the epiphany. And so often, following a service, I would say to him, and Rabbi Baisley alluded to this, "You know, Mark, you really ought to become a cantor." Pardon my humility, but I must say that this was profound, and I will tell you why. We're told that most men identify themselves by their profession. I'm a rabbi, I'm a physician, I'm an attorney, I'm a funeral director. Often after this, they might add, "Oh, I'm married with 3 children," or "I'm a native New Yorker." First, though, it's often with the profession. But in my comment, "You know, Mark, you should have become a cantor," I'm implying that while he is a cantor, a damn good one at that, most people who know him and have known him identify him first as a mensch. When Rabbi Baisley called me and asked me questions about him, obviously he thought Mark must have penned his own recommendation. I mean, after all, what rabbi ever praised his chazan? I shared something in addition to his vocal talents. I told him that if he was looking for someone who, in addition to having a phenomenal voice, was also a pastor, who cared deeply for the people he served, who laughed and cried and did so from deep within his soul, then Mark Stanton was his guy. I am confident that you, Rabbi Baisley, have found that to be the case because you told us. And that my friend is a true partner in your rabbinate. He unquestionably was in mine. So in this sense, Cantor Stanton created his own job description. A little bit of teaching here. In the Reform movement, the role of the cantor is relatively recent. Those familiar with the Union Prayer Book, anybody familiar with the Union Prayer Book? A blessed memory. Might recall that nowhere in any of the iterations from its first edition in late 19th century to its last in the 1960s do we see the word cantor at all. it says choir when a liturgical selection was to be sung. We didn't like cantors in the old days, probably because our worship tended to imitate that of the Protestant churches that had choirs. The Orthodox shuls had cantors, chazanim, and we were not Orthodox. As a fruitful aside, in the newest versions of the Union Prayer Book, not the newest, the oldest versions of the Union Prayer Book, one never saw the word rabbi either. Rather, what was printed was reader. And I'll let you in on a secret. If you look on the very earliest editions, it said neither rabbi nor reader. Ready for this? The word used in the prayer book was minister. Just a bit of trivia for you. I love trivia. It's not that we didn't have cantors in our movement, but the very few we had were in supersized congregations. They had a different status than cantors do today, but that was then, and this is now, and we should feel blessed that we have cantors today, fine cantors in fact, and we should feel doubly blessed when we have cantors like yours, truly a sweet singer of Israel. As I said, Cantor Stanton created his own job description via his very being. He's never aloof. He was always an integral part of the clergy team. He could be relied upon to fulfill whatever the rabbi's traditional function was whenever we needed him to do so. And let me say unconditionally, it was fortunate for our congregation that the tables weren't turned, that no one relied on me to fulfill the cantor's function. But more than that, your cantor did what few others do, at least those with a magnificent voice. He encouraged us to sing along. Now, I wish, and I've told him this, that he introduced to Beth Emeth in Wilmington many of those wonderful new songs that I hear at Anshe Emeth. But so be it. Cantor Stanton was not one to glory in the solo. Though I must tell you, I occasionally wished he would sing chazanut, the unique melodies of the cantors of old. But the repertoire wasn't his alone. The joy of the song and the joy in the singing was to be shared. It's just the way he is, giving of himself in song as he gives himself in spirit, a mensch above all else. Before we had a cantor in our congregation, I had a poster on my wall which read, "The one who sings, prays twice." Little did I know that we would have a cantor who doubled up on prayer, as the poster stated, just through the passion that he shows for our prayers. They are not notes on a page. They aren't words to merely float through the air. When Mark Stanton sings, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One of Blessing, pays heed. Of that, I have no doubt. As much as the cantor of Central Synagogue has a magnificent voice, no one, and I mean no one, can chant Kol Nidre like Mark Stanton. And no one can sing Avinu Malkeinu like Mark Stanton. And no one can sing V'Shamru like you all did with Mark Stanton tonight. And he did that for me. Thank you. In my interim pulpit in a small Virginia congregation, their volunteer choir sang. And I would not take it away from those people who truly did this out of love. But I insisted that they hear the recording of your cantor singing Avinu Malkeinu, and indeed, they were blown away. Some of you might recall Jesse White, the Maytag man who installed washers and dryers. Remember him on TV? He called himself the loneliest man in the world because the Maytag product lasted forever. So today, I'm installing your cantor with these words and with the blessing. I hope, just like the Maytag washer dryer, this cantor lasts forever. And I hope that by now you know that when you of Anshe Emeth listen or sing along, when you are touched by this man in the ups and the downs of your lives, when you get to know what a true mensch he really is, you know that what you've got is a blessing from above. Amen. And with that, when we had bar mitzvahs in my congregation, please rise. Open the door. 'Cause I'm not looking. Ooh. Wow. Where do I want you? Beth. Bow your head. As King David of old blessed his son Solomon, so do we bless you. V'chazakta v'ayita leish v'shamarta et mishmeret Adonai Elohecha lalechet b'drachav. Be courageous and be a man, and keep the charge of the eternal your God, to walk in God's ways. Together let us say, Amen. And we continue with the threefold benediction. Let us say, Amen. Let's join together in the Shechianu Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu l'zmanu hazeh. Amen. This is magic. Look at this. Wow. Mazel tov. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It is our honor tonight to also be joined by our Rabbi Emeritus and our Cantor Emerita, who I'd like to ask to come join me over here at this lectern with our new cantor, for a special blessing of welcome. Rabbi Miller?
On behalf of Cantorat and myself, we are grateful to Rabbi Baisley for inviting us tonight to share with all of you in this very special moment. We've been waiting for it for a long time, and it could not have come in a more watch the kids, because you guys, you're what it's all about. You know that. I watched how they sang with you, Mark, how they sang with the choir, and how you've been singing, all of you, and leading the whole congregation in this beautiful, wonderful worship, all under Cantor Stanton's direction and together with Rabbi Baisley. What wonderful hands we are all in with our new team to guide you into the future. And so, Mark, tonight, Cantor Ott and I, and Rabbi Baisley, we share these words with you. Baruch haba, Cantor Stanton. We welcome you to a new chapter in the life of our congregation and in the journey of your cantorate, as it has been displayed for all of us and so beautifully articulated by Rabbi Peter Grumbacher, my taller rabbinic colleague. I must admit, I always loved Rabbi Grumbacher's humor. Whenever we were together in rabbinical school, he had me and all of the rest of us in stitches. And the smartest thing that he ever did, in addition to engaging Cantor Stanton, was getting married to Susie, his partner in life, all these wonderful years. We stand with you now to offer a blessing of welcome and thanksgiving at this sacred time. We welcome you as you bring your voice and your heart and soul to this congregation as its cantor.
When we sing God's praises, we open our hearts to the possibility of spiritual renewal. May your gift of music and spirit help us sing new songs to God, inspire us to spiritual fulfillment, and help us find new meaning in the prayers and praises of our hearts. Let us welcome you with the words of the psalmist, who taught us to bring passion to our tradition through the music of our hearts. Shir Adonai Shir Chadash, Shir Adonai Kol Haaretz. Sing to God a new song.
In every generation, we have been inspired by teachers of Torah who have challenged us with new songs of learning. Every opportunity for study evokes new revelation. With this inspiration, the children of Torah became the builders of our future, a future whose story is yet to be told. May your teachings, your songs, and your vision inspire us with the light of Torah, and may you be inspired by the Torah of our community. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless Cantor Stanton on this new journey on which he is about to embark. God help direct his steps and sustain him in peace. May he find joy and contentment. May his teachings and songs be inspired by the Eternal One as he continues to be a messenger of the holy traditions of our people and of God's love. Amen. Amen. As I've said to multiple people since the cantor began, I am really hard-pressed to think of a scenario more difficult than starting your cantorate in a pandemic, which is a respiratory disease, where none of us can be together and none of us can sing together. To a certain degree, his first year really began in July when we all started coming back together again. But you would think that for most cantors. But for Mark, it had been a great joy to have him during the pandemic. Because even though he wasn't able to sing live in front of people, he shared their pains. He shared their grief as we did funeral after funeral after funeral together, as we're figuring out what this pandemic was. he would have Zoom meetings with the kids in religious school and maybe not be able to get them to sing all at once on Zoom, because that's never an easy thing to do, as the choir knows, but would share his love of music with them. And they have began this infectious love of music too that they have inherited from Cantor Ott. It is wonderful to know that our legacy of music at this temple is in good hands and will grow. And I want to thank the choir so very much, not only for your music tonight, but with your guidance and with your understanding of how we have had to wrestle with this pandemic. I think you, more than many other people here in the congregation, understand the limitations of what our programming is on Zoom, especially when you need to sing. And I know how you have all gotten to know Cantor Stanton and have fallen in love with him as well. It is a pleasure to call up now Ronnie Mayer, who has a few words to say on behalf of the choir. Don't be scared, don't be scared. Maybe a little.
Would you like to step this way, or are you afraid? Don't be nervous. Modim anachnu lach, we thank you. Words we recorded for the upcoming Interfaith Thanksgiving service, and words we, as Kol Emet, want to express to you tonight. We thank you with full hearts for your Herculean efforts to bring us together on Zoom, or socially distanced and masked, or in quartets, or duets, or quintets, and in professional recording so that we could sing together with you. Through all the room changing, chair arranging, mic placing, printing and distributing of music, emails, texts, etc., 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 you had a ready smile and good humor. We thank you. Kol Emet came to you as a family, loving, contentious, opinionated, and full of self-importance. And you accepted us as such. Think of the song Getting to Know You. Faced with us, you certainly put it your way, but nicely. And we think we're approaching bright and breezy, slowly but surely. Thank you for all you and the temple have done to allow the Shehekianu moment. After almost 18 months of unimaginably difficult maneuvering and planning, during which tech became the operative word for every aspect of your job description, the culmination comes with your installation as our cantor tonight. You have done everything possible and maybe impossible to make Anshe Emeth your home and Kol Emet your choir. Tonight is a culmination and also a commencement as we look forward to more and better musical moments with you. Yivarechecha has come to mean something special to Kol Emet, thanks to Cantor Ott, who brought it to us, because we closed every choir rehearsal with it. Tonight we dedicated it to you, Mark. May you be blessed with every good thing as we commence and continue our musical journey with you. Modim anachnu, we thank you.
We have a plethora of clergy here. Rabbi Grumbacher, Rabbi Baisley, Rabbi Emeritus Bennett Miller, Cantor Emerita Anna Westott, for a time Maya Glasser, student rabbis Sienna Lautenberg and Ezra Leventhal, President Ina Horn, immediate past president and family, David Levine. You've all been wonderful, and we had a lovely gathering earlier before the service, and I thank you so much for that. senior staff, Heather, Matt, and Melissa, the office staff, only in alphabetical order because I didn't want to show favoritism to anybody. Alicia, Ann, Jen, Nancy, and Uma, our custodians, Jean, Jim, and Julius, and a shout out to Zoraida. Teachers, madrichim, all the music makers that I have had the honor to work with, especially David Schlossberg, who is a miracle for this world with his compositions and his heart. And he doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve, but it's just gets bigger and bigger every day, and it's amazing to work with you, and thank you. Somebody that was left off the program that is vitally important to Anshe Emet's Kolomet Choir is Ricky Stein with his wife Dana, who has really held the history of this congregation, of this choir, and the record of the recordings and the concerts and everything, and it's really been a blessing to have both of you in my lives. And I have 3 choirs now. I am so happy. It was only 2 for a while, and I want to thank Jew Directions for toughing it out for the year in a little box, and with the dogs going on, with everything going on with the signal, and with the Statue of Liberty in the background, so I'd see one of the students with horns. No, they weren't horns, they were spikes. The junior choir, which just started this year, and it's a phenomenal experience to have them and watch them grow from nothing and just get energized. And then the Kolomet Choir, and you've been a true blessing. And where's Noah? Where are you, Noah? And Noah, Misha in the background, and I had a chance to get to know them during the high holidays and all these recordings that we made. This is a very, very special place. It is can you hear me now? Is this better? Okay. This is a very, very special place. It is full of love, and I've seen you bestow your hearts on each other and help each other without having to ask. It just happens, and it's wonderful to be part of that. And there were many, many decades that Rabbi Miller and Cantor Ott were cultivating this congregation and cultivating a phenomenal music program that was laid, I have very, very big shoes to fill. And what is nice is that I get to do it a little slower from the pandemic and layer in a little bit at a time. But what's been wonderful about the pandemic is that I've had a chance to slowly get to know you, all right? And I haven't done it all yet, but I hope as time goes on that we'll get to know and nurture those relationships as well. Thank you so much for all of this. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you to my family, wave, all right, down from Connecticut. And unfortunately, my sister was not able to attend tonight, but she's on the other side of the camera, and she had problems with her leg, so she gets forgiven. So, but anyway, I will give my heart and soul here, and thank you so much.
After saying it for 20 months now, see, we are a congregation that likes to sing.
I didn't believe it for a long time.
Just a few announcements before we conclude our service. First of all, it's wonderful to have Kolomet back with us after many months of solitary confinement, I guess. But to have you sing with us for the first time in a long time is just beautiful, and what made it even sweeter was having members of Jew Direction intermingled with you as well. and it was just wonderful to have you all. Thank you, of course, to Dave Schlossberg, who added so beautifully to every service we have. It was a pleasure tonight, and thank you to Cantor Anna Ott and Rabbi Miller and Rabbi Grumbacher to join us for the special moment. The festivities don't end tonight with the conclusion of our service, which we'll do in here so that people at home can join us for Kiddush and Motzi. There is a special oneg to go out in the hallway in honor of Cantor Stanton's installation. There's also going to be a concert tomorrow night here in the sanctuary in honor of Cantor Stanton. It's Michelle Citron who's coming back because she does installation concerts just so beautifully. To be able to do the concert tomorrow night, that's at 7:30. Tickets must be purchased ahead of time. There are no tickets available at the door. At least that's what I have here on my sheet of paper, and as rabbis can attest, whatever's written on the sheet of paper is what they read. But I believe you can still go online to register to get a link. There are a couple of other projects that are coming up at the temple that I'd like to use this moment to shamelessly plug, but for good reason. The first is that our synagogue is endeavoring in a Christmas dinner project with Elijah's Promise, which is New Brunswick's food bank and pantry and kitchen. We have dedicated ourselves to cooking 300 turkey dinners. So there are a couple of things that we could use your help with. There will be a sign-up genie that'll go out in a couple of weeks. If you can sign up to help cook, that would be much needed. But also we need some of the stuff that we'll be cooking, such as turkeys. You can buy them frozen now. If they aren't frozen, don't buy them until December 20th. Correct, Jay? Yeah? But we could use turkeys. We could also use some capital to be able to buy some of the other things. According to Dr. Joe, we need about $1,000 to cook these 300 dinners. Please send it to the temple. Whatever we don't use, we're going to put towards making sandwiches for Elijah's Promise. Jay, how many sandwiches have we made to date?
Well in excess of 40,000 lunches.
So since the beginning of the pandemic, Jay and Helene with their team have been cooking, or not cooking, but been preparing lunches for Elijah's Promise and have made over 40,000 sandwiches and lunches for the people of New Brunswick to help them during this pandemic, and we want to continue it as long as we can. So don't worry about, have we raised $1,000 for Christmas dinners yet? Just give. And whatever extra we have is going to be going to feeding people through that project. So our thanks ahead of time. Also, as many of you know, we are partners with several other interfaith organizations for Interfaith Rise, which is a refugee resettlement organization. We have committed ourselves to settling 225 Afghan refugees during this year. For the past couple of weeks, we've been getting 20 at a time every week. I believe this week we got 60. Surprise. What we could really use, if anybody knows of any sources, all the churches and synagogues and mosques in the area are putting out this petition. If you have housing that you know of, an apartment that's for rent or a house that's for rent that either you rent or you know that's available in your complex, please let us know so that Interfaith Rise can rent them out to help settle these refugees. We need homes for them. So if you know of any available housing, please let us know. And they've got the money, we've got the money and the funds to rent them. So just let us know. We just need to find them. Lastly, on Sunday, December 5th, is our Gertrude and Milton Kleinman consultation on conscience. It'll be either in person or streamed right here from the sanctuary. Please RSVP or register to attend, either in person or online. We want to be able to know that we've got the right amount of capacity in here where we're not going to exceed what's safe, or that we can send you the links. We have an enormous group of speakers that include Eric Ward, Rabbi Jonah Pesner, Reverend Charles Boyer, and Karen Gaffney, who are going to talk about racism, systemic racism in America, and also its correlation and connection to anti-Semitism. So it's going to be a fascinating conversation. I look forward to seeing you all there. As soon as you can, please register following the link in tonight's email so that we can make sure that we can space everybody out properly in the sanctuary. And finally, I hope you'll all join us tomorrow morning for Torah study, as Rabbi Grumbacher is going to be doing a special Torah study in honor of Mark's installation. If you want it, you can come in person. We'll be in Lippman Hall, spaced out, but also with a Zoom camera. So if you want to do it from home, you can follow the link in tonight's email to do that too. On this Shabbat Eve, as we join together as one congregation to celebrate creation and the joy of life and living, we turn our thoughts to those in our community for whom life has become precarious because of health or hospitalization. O God of healing, in our hearts we name those who are facing illness and pain. We join our prayers together with the prayers of those who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Strengthen them the healing powers you place within us all, and guide the hands and hearts of those who are entrusted with their care. May the knowledge of your love and ours give added hope to them and their families. May they find even greater strength because our prayers are linked to theirs. Mishaberach Avotenu v'imotenu hu yivarech et hacholim, rufuata nefesh ufuata guf, hashta'a b'ga'alav uzman kariv v'nomar amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless those in need of healing. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit as together we say, amen. We rise now in either body or spirit for Aleinu on page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved, each of us, for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד
Yesh kochavim sho'aram magia arza. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. With hearts that ache and are saddened, we name now those whom death has recently taken from us, those whose families are observing the Shloshim. We remember Lenny Struminger, wife of Jay of blessed memory, mother of Ronald, Marla, and Janine and Alex, grandmother of Jared, Phoebe, Sarah, Jonah, Jessica. We remember Edith Braunstein Magaziner, mother of Robert and Cheryl, Jonathan, Hillary, Diane and Mark, and grandmother of Sarah and Allison, Noah and Mayan, Leah and Benjamin. And we remember Vivian Greenberg, sister of Carol and Pat, mother of Robert and Manuel, Jill and Jay, Bruce and Kim, stepmother of Bill and Joyce, and Sue and Alan and Michael and Helene, Andrea and Michael, grandmother of Sophia, Avery, Peter and Mark, Kaylee, Allison, Lauren, Amy, Elise, and Alex, Harrison, Maxwell, Sam, and Rachel. And on this Shabbat, we also recall those dear ones who died at this season in years past and whose names we record with love in our service booklet this evening. Their names are forever bound to our hearts and are permanently inscribed throughout our building. And if you're joining us tonight online to say Kaddish for a loved one, please either say their names aloud at home or type their names into the chat either on YouTube, Facebook, or our temple streaming service so that we can all lift up the names of your loved ones together. And if you're here in the sanctuary to say Kaddish for a loved one, please say their names as I look out to you. Zikronam livracha. May all their names and memories only be for a blessing. I invite all the mourners, if able, to rise for Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish, on page 294. Ikadal, Vikadash, Shmei Rabbah, V'almad Yivrach Hirotei, V'amlich Mahutei, V'chai Echon, V'yom Echon, V'chai Dekol Beit Yisrael, V'agala V'zman Kariv V'yimru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mivrach Le'olam Olamei Almaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemed Kudashah B'rechu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen.
We close our service tonight with the singing of L'Dor Vador as I welcome Lucy Naleva to come up to the bima.
Please rise.
These lips will praise
one last shameless plug while we get ready for Kiddush. I would be remiss to not ask all of you on your way out the door to the back parking lot to take one of the slips of paper from our wishing well. This year we have committed as a congregation to give out gifts to 140 kids for Christmas. And you're all here, and by the count of it, I think we might be able to manage it all tonight if everybody just takes a sheet of paper so we can make sure that those who need the most get it. So thank you all.
ויהי ערב, ויהי בוקר, יום השישי. ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחיל לנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. L'chaim. And we join together for Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Adonai oz le'amo iten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Adonai will give strength to our people. Adonai will bless our people and all people with peace. Amen. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Thank you. Mazel
Hi,
tov.
Leia. Okay.
You did great tonight.
Perfect.
Hi.
Hello. Yeah, sing out more. Sing out more. This is American Idol time. Anyway, I miss you all very much. I have a stack like this of tunes that I've collected since the pandemic of tunes that I would want to do with you someday. If that can ever happen. But just know that I think about you all the time and all the fun that we had. And your hair looks really nice. What is... It looks like a man bun. Oh my goodness, so long.
Yeah.
Talk to you about us on the air? Did anybody talk about that?
Yes, except literally there was only one person joining, and so Canderstand was going to recommend me, but he didn't think he was going to.
Okay. Well, actually, I get you can't be in it until you're 9th grade, so think about it for next year. Then.
Yeah.
Yes. How's your brother?